welcoming Andres LINDBLAD, Europe Industry Lead for Communication and Media.
Good morning. Trash the rule book. Things have changed. And this is not so easy to actually do. But things have changed so much that we really have to trash the rule book. The rules of the game that operators used to enjoy, which gave them a disproportionate advantage in having a success in this game, is gone. Digital disruptors have a different playbook. They're actually looking to this from a global perspective. They have a platform to play with. They work with scale and transactions. They don't have the same rule book as we do. Customers are becoming liquid. What's a liquid customer? Well, that's a customer that intertwines different ecosystems in a way that we in the operator segment becomes confused. We try to serve them on connectivity and on the phone, while the digital players are everywhere in their digital daily routine. And that's a key point. They have a digital daily routine, and we're not part of it. We need to become part of it. Good thing is that everything gets connected. That's something we are very good at. It gives trust, it gives proximity, and it also gives us the opportunity to have devices in their homes or in their hands. The problem is that connectivity today is a commodity. It's not really generating any money. So, what are operators today? What are we in this segment? Well, we're squeezed from everywhere, of course. We're starting to become a sector that's not so interesting for finance or for investors, because somebody else is stealing our bread and butter, the money on the table. So the digital businesses have created a huge amount of money for the last 10 years. None of it has gone to the operators. The share of profit in the operator pool globally has gone down with 11% over the last 5 years. And we got a little interest in see, is this something we could do in Europe? And together with Etno, we worked out this report, which I encourage you to read. It's called Lead or Lose. And I'll take two examples from it. First of all, maybe I should say that, who were part of it. About 35 illuminaries in Europe were interviewed. People like Tim Höttges or Paete from Telefonica, Pierre Louet from Orange, or the president of Estonia, I had to look here, Kersti Kaljulaid. It's not so easy to say, but of course you've heard about Estonia, maybe the most impressive country in the world when it comes to digitization. If you haven't, have a look what they have done. It's impressive. What happens then what could happen in Europe, and what is important to think about, is that we're standing in front of crossroads that gives us choices. It could either be positive or it could be negative. I just take a couple of things. If you look at the top here, I mean, you could either go good and create a better world with ecology and weathers, or it can go bad. There are 12 initiatives today in Europe that would significantly reduce the CO2 emission. On the other hand, if we don't manage the planet, we probably are looking at some 70, 80 million displaced people that would want to come to Europe. And it's not so easy to manage. The other part, which is scary, is that this industrial revolution will take away, displace more work than any other revolution has done before. 50% of European jobs will be affected by digitization. I don't know if you've read all the dystopian books, but some of them talks about a world where people instead eat pills and become numb because there's nothing to do. I don't think that's a nice future. So we better use this technology, of course, to make sure that people can change how they contribute to society. And this platform that we are innovating right now can do that. Some 60 million people are projected to be able to take very advanced learning exams and certificates on the net in a cheap and fast way. So that's another crossroad. Money is always interesting. Over the last 10 years, 100 million euros has been destroyed in EBIT for operators every day. From 36% of the profit pool globally to 11% today. On the other hand, positive, 4 billion euro of opportunity every day in digitization in Europe alone. So crossroads are important, of course, and we have to make sure that we take the right turn. One thing that these illuminers really were agreeing on, most actually was very much of consensus, is about the foundational capabilities that you need to create a digital Europe. One thing is around the Internet of Everything. Internet of Everything is a digital world with digital twins, if you want. It's a semantic model with metadata that is interoperable. In a market, you need to have a format where you can actually interact, so the rules are clear. It needs to be a trusted institution, and it needs to be an open marketplace. The other part is a pervasive network. The pervasive network is a, and maybe you can imagine, because I think we talk about, SDN, NFV, software defined, but people don't understand that. What it actually is, it is wherever you are, an opportunity to conjure a computer that behaves the way you want to behave. Everywhere. Computer that responds fast enough, gives you enough data, or it connects to your application in the right way. It's magic, but the technology is actually there. The other piece is the institutions. Institutions need to reinvent themselves. They cannot continue, of course, to take years to change the legal system to allow ourselves to be on this digital marketplace. Digital Europe needs to have regulators, politicians that really speed up and make sure that they are helping and not hindering the progress. Change is tough. There is no value creation in operators over the last couple of years, we've said that. The S-curve is a good way of looking in how you can translate yourselves into the new, and you have to focus on doing that very hard. It's not easy when the shareholders are asking you to give them dividends every year, because the shareholder value creation is only done by cash flow. There is no future value in telco operators today. So you're on the continuum with being A and B up here, which is just leading one way. You know where that's leading. If we are not able to do the C, inventing a new business, and then wise pivot to that as we go along, we have a determinable future, and it's on the continuum. What do we do then? Well, short term, I think we can observe two models, and there are 4 models in total. 2 models that are kind of extremes, and I thought it was great to have Eric this morning talking from AT&T. They are what we call a vertically integrated service player. Even bought their own TV, content, really making sure that they're managing the scale. $140 billion, I think he said they were investing in this little venture. So of course you need deep pockets to be able to create this scale and create the content where consumers actually want to be with you. Another example on the other extreme, if you want, is a very focused digital mobile player. Somebody who thrashes the rule book but goes in sharp and swift. So where can we find that? India. Jio. Jio is a very good example of somebody who, okay, again, big pockets, invest in a network, but really didn't care about ARPU or voice quality or whatever it was. Just goes in and disrupts the market. Everything free, even mobile phone free. Tries to create scale and then tries to offer something on top of that, like music, video, whatever is kind of like interesting. People thought they were crazy. I remember sitting in the office of Jayo about 18 months ago, and when they were launching, and the Indians were just, no, this is never going to work. 120 million consumers later, completely disrupted market. They raised, I think, a little the fees, and the whole market reacted. They have really disrupted the market in a completely different way. Long term, though, there are two picks I think that are important. One is the pervasive network, where you have more of a connectivity play, where you go in and conjure these computers wherever you are. But it's more of a wholesale play, a lot of money building 5G, poles, fiber, smart, of course, brokerage, ability to abide by regulated rules in the countries, etc. But that is, of course, a really, really important play for everything else. The second part, which I would like to spend the last few minutes on, is a multi-sided platform. And a multi-sided platform is something which allows you to actually play together, if you want, in an open ecosystem. This is how we can embrace the new economy. You want to be a broker and an essential partner in this ecosystem to be able to offer the services in a smart way. You can imagine in a digital world where consumers thank their operators because they can live, work, play safely in this digital world because of the operators. They have the opportunity to also get all their digital needs satisfied because of this platform. But not only that, the needs will be anticipated because this is an intelligent platform, of course. The competition is fierce, and you might say, what on earth are we doing here? This has already been invented by the Americans, the Asians. But we actually believe that this is not an ecosystem that has been really defined yet. And there's a lot of opportunities to continue to play here, and the telcos actually have some assets that are quite unique. The important thing to be successful here in this future ecosystem is that you have to own the data, and you have to be the one who orchestrates the first touch points, because that determines how the consumers actually will behave on this platform. And if you manage to get to that point, the interesting thing is that you will have a disproportionate value of the value chain. Anybody who rules and controls here is the winner. I think there's a lot of good thinking here. I mean, you've probably heard about Telefónica's Aura platform or Liberty Global's One Video platform. There's definitely things that are happening in the right direction. So what do? Well, we have to take a step forward. We need to be able to dare to take a step forward. These are big transformations. This means not just changing a little. This means changing the DNA of the operators. It really is a profound change. Is there anything we can do short term? Well, we have identified 2 no-regret moves that will enable any of these 4 different models that we're talking about. One is to make sure that you really work on the front end, the experience of the consumers, the engagement of the consumers. You need to make sure that you build a platform that caters for this omni-channel experience, intertwined ecosystems, so that you can't comply with their expectations. That's one move, that's a no-regret move. The other part is to embed intelligence deep in your business system. Let me spend a little more on the embedded intelligence and this platform. You can call it a brain if you want. This multi-sided platform is something that actually takes out the hidden values. I mean, things like security or billing experience or devices that actually operators have, and turn them into tradable assets. You actually take your strengths and you start to trade them on this marketplace. They are hidden values that if we can show that to a market, we will not be just determined on the cash flow and the current value. Maybe it's easier if you imagine a home where you today have a simple Ethernet termination point in the home, and you don't really have an interaction with the customer. If you can make that to a smart termination point, you can actually build that into something that starts to talk to the customer. Then all of a sudden you start having interaction. This platform then might even discover that the Wi-Fi network in the home is not really perfect. We'll suggest you to put the Wi-Fi router in a corner of the living room that you don't have connection. it will start to discover that the devices in the home are not associated with the right person. So that when you have done that, you will also start to become intelligent to understand how the behaviors are. You're starting to become a part of the digital daily routine. You can do suggestions. For instance, like the family want to regain the opportunity to have dinner together. You turn off the devices for an hour between 7:30 and 8:30. Maybe you start to discover sensors in the home that you have fire alarm. Insurance company sees this family and says, you know, I can offer you a much cheaper home insurance because you have a good connected home. So you're building, all of a sudden, a completely new ecosystem. And by the way, this is not fantasy. These are things we're doing today with operators live. White. Future is here now. Focus on the new. Start to do some no-regret bets. And we have to remember, if you earn the right to be part of the daily digital routine of the customers, we will have a disproportionate amount of the value chain. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Andres.